G'day guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Tim. I'm a writer, I'm an educator, and I'm a reader. And today I would like to share 3 books that changed my life and the lessons I obtained from reading these books, as well as perhaps some overall thoughts. All right, first up is Barbarian Days by William Finnegan. If you watched this channel before, you know I've spoken about this book, but I'm going to speak about this book in a very different context today. This is a non-fiction memoir, and it won the Pulitzer Prize for Memoir back in 2016. Usually when people make these kinds of videos, they don't talk about memoirs and they don't talk about memoirs about surfing. As you can see, this is my beat up copy of Barbarian Days. This memoir follows William Finnegan's surfing life and his lifelong devotion to the art of surfing. It really encompasses his relationship with something that he feels is bigger than himself. The lessons I learned from this book are almost unparalleled, but here are my 3 favorites. Number 1, the lifelong pursuit towards a craft is a beautiful relationship that we create within ourselves. William's whole surfing life was dedicated around trying to explore places, trying to adventure, trying to develop himself, and trying to find something within himself. And his vessel for that was surfing. And for anybody, that can be whatever you need that vessel to be. But I think that's a really valuable thing, that if you are pursuing something, that lifelong pursuit through its stages, through the early stages, through those peak stages, and then also grappling with that idea of the later stages of life, is this really beautiful relationship that we have with ourselves. The second lesson is this ongoing pursuit for adventure or uncomfortability. Finnegan in this memoir almost describes that he is searching for something. He goes away on a 4-year journey overseas, surfing waves in the South Pacific, in Australia, in Cape Town, in all of these different places. And he almost feels like he's running away from something in search of something. And we go searching for ourselves in this strange way. And I think reading this memoir and reading the pages, I think I came to this idea that we are always going to be searching for something. We are always going to be looking behind doors. We're always going to be traveling and discovering, while coming to this conclusion that the thing that you're searching for perhaps doesn't exist, and it's within yourself, and it's this ever-evolving idea that we have with the relationships with ourselves. And the short way to say what I'm trying to say is that we are ever-evolving human beings, and there is something incredibly beautiful within all of that. And the third lesson from Barbarian Days is relationships. That is at the core of everything that matters to us as humans. This whole memoir essentially is about surfing, but truthfully, it's about the relationships he crafted and was able to develop and nurture and be with because of this vessel of surfing, and the relationship with himself. And at the end of the day, even traveling around the world, truthfully, the thing that ends up mattering, and this is from my experience as well, from traveling and living overseas, is the people that we get to spend it with. All right, book number 2 is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. Yes, I know this book does not turn up very well with its shiny lettering on camera, but this is one of the most important books that I have ever read. I first read this in 2016, and it completely altered the way that my brain looked at the world. It changed how I loved, it changed how I lived, it changed how I had conversations. And that is why I'm including it in these 3 books that changed my life today, because I think there is incredible value in these pages. This book starts with the Theodore Roosevelt Man in the Arena quote, and I'm just going to read a small section of it for you right now. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. My first lesson from Daring Greatly is this: vulnerability is the core, the center, the heart of meaningful human experience. In order to connect with people, we need to meet them as people, presenting in this way where we are polished, where we are finished, where we are put together doesn't help our experiences. The things that we connect over, you and I, connect over the human experience, and the core and the key into that has always been vulnerability. Vulnerability is what allows us to be creative. It's what allows us to make connections and relationships with one another. It's what allows us to connect with ourselves. My second lesson was prior to reading Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I had never published any of my writing publicly. I was too scared of what people would think. I was too scared of what I thought. I was too scared of what the ramifications of such a thing were. And it was almost this push to be a little bit braver, be a little bit more courageous, and use some of that vulnerability. And in doing so, I published my first bit of writing, and it was received incredibly well. People were kind, people encouraged it, people wanted me to win. And so the lesson is life rewards the courageous and the brave, and it shows up time and time again. And so by being vulnerable, I was able to be brave, and I was able to start doing something that I really wanted to do, and I've had so much meaning and fulfillment from. And the third lesson from Daring Greatly for me came within my teaching career. And it was a really important lesson and something I came back to time again. And the quote is, for me, teaching is about love. It's not about information transfer. It's about creating discovery and mystery and safe places for students. And I went back to that time and time again. I felt that if you could teach from a place of love first and foremost, with vulnerability, showing students that you too are a human, what does that allow them to show up as? That allows them to embrace their mistakes. It allows them to be vulnerable. It allows them to be creative and show up in a way if they feel like the person that is running that environment loves, cares, and respects them as a human being. And time again, teaching for me is love, and it stemmed from vulnerability, courage, and bravery. And time again, I'll never forget the impact that that had on a classroom of students, and how perhaps if we embrace the world a little bit more like that, the whole world would start to change. And the final book we have today is Show Your Work by Kleon, 10 Ways to Share Your Creativity and Get Discovered. I discovered this book at a really nice time. I had just started being creative. I was just starting to try things. And this really simple, like pretty short book with a lot of different examples and a lot of different thoughts and really sort of simple ways at going about being creative and breaking down the habit really opened my eyes into what you can kind of do in a creative life and in a creative world, and how to really cultivate that in a different way. He's actually got a series of 3 different ones. He's got also Steal Like an Artist and Keep Going, and I liked all 3 of them, but this is probably my favorite because I found it the most useful at the time. All right, lesson number 1. This is the first book here that really talked about habit stacking. I hadn't read a lot of habit or productivity books at this stage, and it was the first time that someone had really well illustrated that doing something once versus doing it 30 times in a row is a very different sensation, and it feels differently, but it is also the way to improve that habit over a course of a lifetime. And I thought that was really cool, particularly when it came to not only doing the work and the craft, but also sharing the work. I'm going to read this quote for you. Put yourself and your work out there every day and you'll start meeting some amazing people. Bobby Solomon. In the last few months in particular, that is something I've been doing, and I have been meeting some fantastic writers and creators and people that are doing stuff and sharing those kinds of works and being part of putting yourself out there is incredible. Austin talks about how overnight success is a myth, and it is time and dedication and effort over a long period of time that is the thing that leads to success. And I feel that intrinsically, and he was the first person that I discovered that from. And particularly putting your foot forward over time for long enough is what leads us to success. The second lesson I learned from this book was share your process, not just the final product. Art is messy and it's chaotic and it's everywhere, and everyone is trying to learn and get better at this thing. Austin was the first person I came across that was talking about sharing the process, because what I felt was really important with sharing the process is learning from other people and other people's processes, but also just realizing that the process is the part that's valuable. That is the reward. That is the success. It's not the final product. It is the process and enjoying the process over the course of time, while also being an engaged member in the community, sharing other people's work, engaging with other people's work, and sharing the little things that you learn along the way is incredibly valuable for you, but for everybody else. And the final lesson, which is perhaps the most important lesson that I learned from this book, is learning to take the punch. In any creative act or in any creative pursuit, there is going to be incredible rejection. There's no way around it. You can't dodge the rejection. You can't avoid the rejection. You can't change the rejection. But what you can do is embrace the rejection. Keep your balance. You have to remember that your work is something you do, not who you are. Essentially, one of the lessons is building a sustainable practice around your creative passions and your art and your life as a creative. And I just thought that that was an incredibly valuable lesson if you are a creative. And this is all incredibly valuable when I was first becoming a creative to begin with. You don't have to be this great Hemingway kind of character to be a creative, to live a creative life. There are many different ways to do it, and you can create your own genius. You can learn, you can develop, you can put your own spin on things, and that is the value of being a creative. Anyway, these 3 books all taught me valuable lessons in one way, shape, or form, and they've all been slightly different, and I think they could all teach you some valuable lessons if you decided to pick them up. Let me know what book changed your life and why it changed your life in the comments below, and some of the lessons you obtained from it, because I'm always looking for new recommendations. I'm always looking for new stuff to check out. Anyway, if you don't mind liking and subscribing, it goes an incredibly long way. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking the time, and I will see you back here next week. Say hello to the people.